We are live. So, good morning the world, or good afternoon, or whatever. Yeah, whatever time it is where you are, welcome to Be the Voice You Truly Be with myself and my gorgeous co-hosts, David Taylor and Fiona Cutts. So I will look at you while I'm talking to the screen rather than having bright shiny things distracting me. So let me hand over to the wonderful Fiona, who's going to be playing with us today. So Fiona, over to you.
Thank you. So it's really, really yummy and lovely to be here with you two particularly. And so, yeah, be the voice you truly be, about speaking more, showing up more in our lives. And for me, I mean, I guess you two haven't known me for very long, but this is not something I would have chosen years ago. So it's something that's really, really close to my heart. And I always chose hiding away, not being seen, not being heard. And I'm really, really loving choosing different and choosing to show up way more in my life. So what if this hour together could be an invitation to all of us, to all of you, to show up way more, to be seen way more.
So,
and that I can't hear you, Alan. I can see your mouth moving. I can't hear you. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah. So, yes. Right. Yeah, I think the whole thing around being seen is something that I was always told off for doing. You know, you always want to be seen. You always want to be the center of attention. And that's what I used to get. So for years, then I would just try and hide myself.
Mm.
But what would happen is then trying to keep all of that down, I would come exploding out in the most unhelpful ways, so that I would just prove myself right about how wrong it is for me to be seen, because I always make a complete arse of myself, and that's what happens, isn't it? How often do we suppress the capacities that we have to create difference and to contribute to the world? We compress, contract, until it's almost like you've coiled the springs so much that they just come bursting out in the most unhelpful ways, and then you go, well, I was right, I never should have done that.
Yes, absolutely. So we find the evidence that supports our point of view, so we should never have done that. You should have been quiet. And then maybe you have your parents or other people saying, yeah, look, you should have been quiet. Yes. So
just one thing as we're going through this, so there are people watching already. Hello!
Hello!
So as you're watching, if you have any questions at all about anything that we're talking about, or anything that occurs to you about being visible and seen and having your voice, and whatever else it is that occurs to you, anything that comes up for you while you're watching the Hangout, if you go to the Facebook page for the event, you can pop your questions on there, and we will do our best to kind of copy the page and watch the page and answer your questions in the Hangout. So apologies if we don't get to you quickly enough, but bright shiny things, So yeah.
So hello, David.
David, you speak.
Hello, I'm David. I love Right Voice for You. I attended Fiona's class in London in December, and she's coming up to my neck of the woods, to Middlesbrough, a week on Saturday, and I love these tools. So it's a delight to be here today. And hello, everybody. I didn't come up then when I was talking. I'm so new at Google Hangout. So thank you, Alan, for organising this Hangout today. It's a whole new experience to, actually be live like this. So thank you so much. And talk about being seen and being heard in the world, What else is possible?
Yes.
Oh, that's better. There we go. You can see while you're talking now. We'll make you bigger. It should do it automatically, but it hasn't. Wonder why.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So let's actually do this anywhere. Let's just ask ourselves: are we really, the three of us? Are we really willing to be seen and to be heard on this Hangout? And shall we let go of anything that doesn't allow us to be truly seen and truly heard on this hangout? And sometimes my experience is it can be like that with the technology that's supporting us when we're doing these classes. Sometimes inexplicably things that normally work suddenly don't work, and class recordings don't work, or we're not seen when we're on the hangout, or the sound inexplicably goes. So just asking ourselves that question, are we really willing to be seen here? And letting go of anything that doesn't allow us to be truly seen. Maybe that could be a contribution to the technology supporting us now. And thank you, Alun, for setting all this up.
Well, it's so, you know, what's interesting for me is just how I get stressed about not doing it right. So, you know, it's like maybe I'm contributing to people not being able to, let me just do it that way so people can see me. It's not, so at the moment I'm having these kind of beyonds about why isn't it clicking between different people when we're speaking. So yeah, that brings up a lot for me.
Yes. Yes, so whatever energy that is that it brings up, are you willing to just release it, let go of it?
Yes.
Thank you. And so what we're doing with that's just an example of how we work in access consciousness, how we ask questions. So it's like sometimes when we notice that we're stuck, we can just say, oh, what is this? And just release whatever it is that's keeping us in that stuck place. So in Alun's case, it's that kind of fear of, oh, I'm the person who set this up. What if it isn't working? What if it doesn't work? So all these people who want to be on, blah, blah, blah. So there's an energy that gets created. And so just releasing that energy can just allow more freedom in. So does that feel different, Alun?
It does. But of course, yeah, we love making ourselves wrong, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes. And just to say that, so Right Voice for you is a part of access consciousness. And we talk a lot in access consciousness about coming out of judgment, not making ourselves wrong. And my experience of the tools of Right Voice for you and working with the voice is it's almost like the tools of access consciousness, but on steroids. There's something, good steroids, and there's something about the voice and being seen and being heard and being in front of other people and seeing other people choose to be in front of other people that can just ramp things up. And I think that's what can make these tools even more powerful than some of the other things we do in access consciousness.
Yeah, it's like, I'm kind of going off at a tangent slightly, but it is about like this, what tools can we use to even know what our voice is?
Yes. Yeah. And we were talking about this, Alun, before the class in London. It's like we were talking about how to reach people who want to have, who know that they want to be heard and seen in the world. And then at a certain point, we came to this place of some people don't even know that they don't have a voice in the world. And I think about me years ago. I mean, I would have said that I was shy and I was hiding away, but I didn't see things in those terms. I didn't know that my voice mattered in the world, that I actually, I wouldn't have known that I had something that was worth hearing.
Yeah, because it's like, how often have we been told, in the past that, you know, you've got nothing to say, you're just a child, you know, children should be seen and not heard. I mean, and that's a really big, that I can feel there's a charge in that for me. Children should be seen and not heard. And then, of course, as you get older, there's the stuff around, well, we're all God's children. So, yeah. And a parent will say to you, you're still my child, you're always my child. Yeah. And so we never, you know, we can get into that space where we never get out of being a child, and therefore we should not even be seen, let alone seen and heard and not heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what else can we do to change that? What else is, you know, it's like, what else can we choose? And what have we made so wrong about being a child that is seen and heard? Are we willing to be, the child that is seen and heard?
Yeah.
Mm.
And for me, it's like so often people not acknowledging how much they enjoy being seen and enjoy being heard and actually enjoy being the diva, you know, being complete center stage. I know so many people who deep down they desire that so much, and that unwillingness to acknowledge that, you know, what else is possible there?
Yes. So that's absolutely true for me. So I spent so much of my life being quiet, being not seen, being not heard, telling everybody the story that I was shy. You know, I think I was told I was shy when I was little, when I was at school, and you know, whether that probably came after the you shouldn't be seen and heard, the shyness story developed. And I've had that story so strongly, and then with the tools of energy healing and access consciousness, it just completely unraveled until there was a point in one of the classes where Blossom Benedict just said to me, "Are you a diva, Fiona?" And I just burst out laughing. And it's like that. Often when there's that response, it's true for us. And I'm just noticing that it's not. I think when I first started doing this work, it would be like I would be wanting to not be a total wreck in front of people. So that was my aim. I mean, what a great aim, not to be a total wreck, not for people to get how shy I was or how nervous I was. That was kind of my aim. And now it's like, what would it take to just be me when I'm facilitating a class? What would it take to just be me on this Google Hangout? What would it take to just be me in my life, actually? Because we can, that thing of not being seen and heard, we can hide away in our lives and not be us. And these tools are just amazing at unraveling all of that. And I see many people who are like me in this respect. They invented the lie or the story that they're shy, and it becomes a reality, or it seems a reality. And then when we start to do this unraveling work, it can be such a joy to be seen and heard. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy the most now.
Well, you know, I'm going to come back to something that David said as well about how much and how often do we acknowledge that we like to be seen and heard. And, you know, as a child, it was anyone who wanted to be seen and heard or loved being seen and heard, let's put it that way, was bad, wrong, obnoxious. Who did he think he is? Who does she think she is? And you know, you're full of it, and you like to be the centre of attention, and you never let anybody else get away. And it's all like blah, 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 blah. And really, all those judgments. I mean, what the awareness that comes to me about that is that was never about me. That was about them wanting to be seen.
So what I'd like to do, Alan, if it's okay, so there's a certain energy that comes up as you say all of that. It's like you should. In fact, can you just say some of it again, if you remember that kind of you shouldn't speak, you shouldn't be seen and heard, you're too big for your boots, all of that.
Yes, you are a self-centered, obnoxious little twat.
That'll do.
You feel hard on that?
Yeah, that's great. That's it. Thank you. Perfect. So there's an energy that comes up.
Sorry.
Right. So that energy that comes up as we're speaking, that can be the energy that still limits us now, decades later. So all of us and anybody who's listening now and in the future, just really, really feel that energy. And I'm going to invite you just to let go of it. And I'm going to use the words destroy and uncreate it. So are you willing to destroy and uncreate all the energy that's come from that time when you were told you were obnoxious, you were told you were too much, you were told that you shouldn't speak up, you were told children should be seen and not heard, should be not seen and not heard?
I'm willing to let go of that, but there's an energy under that. I could feel there was a potency behind that I'm not willing to let go of, and I'm not quite sure what that actually is or how to separate the two, because there's a lie with a truth attached, or truth with a lie attached here, and there's a bastardized thing going on. Yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. If you are willing to let go of the energy that feels clear that is the lie.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's just do that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to say a clearing statement, we call it in active consciousness, which is a bit like a magic wand, and it enables the energy to release even more dynamically. And so I'll just say it, and then I'll say something about it. So it's right and wrong, good and bad, hod and pock, all nine, short stories, and beyond. So what that's doing is it's just inviting all the energy that came up, all the energy of limitation that came up as Alan and I and David were talking about it. It's just inviting it all to release more dynamically. And if you want to read more about it, if you're not familiar with it, you can read more about it at theclearingstatement.com. For now, I'm just going to continue using it because I don't want to spend the time on this Hangout actually talking about it, but you can find out more about it if you want to. So, Alan, how's that for you now?
I'm feeling a lot lighter, actually. I just explain to anyone who's watching, the reason I'm yawning and shivering is because that's what happens when I clear energy. It's not that Fiona is boring.
Thank you.
I'm here to tell you she's not boring. So, yeah, I am feeling much lighter, and as I said, I find the whole thing around being an obnoxious twat quite amusing, because it's like, am I willing to be it? And everywhere where I'm willing to be something, for me, it's like it's like we make it more real. So,
and I'm interested, Alan, you said, so there's that kind of energy, the stuck energy, the energy where we have been told we shouldn't be seen, we shouldn't be heard, the energy we've been told we're obnoxious, we're too much. So there's that, and we've been releasing that. And then you talked about there was a potency underneath that. And my sense is that we are potent, we are infinite beings, and it's like when we let go of those lies that were told us, that's when the potency can come in. That's when the real us can come in. And that's, you said you weren't sure some of it, if you were willing or even if to let go of it. And if it's the potency, that's the natural state of us. That's who you truly are. So you won't be letting go of that. Does that make sense?
It makes a huge amount of sense. And there are times when I will say some things, and it's very difficult to explain what that really is, but it's like there is an energy I can perceive, like this, absolutely not, no, I'm making a demand, it's that, and there's a real, kind of like push behind it that's just like, that I know I'm absolutely limitless. So that's like, where am I using that potency against me? You will not speak out loud. It's like, where am I using that potency because I think it's keeping me safe? So it's misapplying it to do something. So that's what it's like. It's like that's where the truth is behind the lie that I'm pushing, which is the lie tells me that I have to stay safe, and so therefore I use that potency to keep me safe for something that was a lie in the first place. Insanity.
So my mind's getting a bit confused. But what we can do, and the great thing about this work is it's energetic. So I didn't completely get all of that. But what we can do is all the energy that comes up as you talk about it, about what's true, what's not true, the potency, the lack of potency, how you're stopping yourself, how you're not stopping yourself, all of that energy, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, hod and pock, all nine short stories and beyond. And what that does is it just, whatever that was that you were describing and noticing that was stopping you from being you and from speaking the truth of you, it just allows that energy to release. And for anybody who's listening, and for me and David as well, it's like if we have something similar going on, then it also releases and unlocks it for us. And even though I didn't maybe cognitively understand what you said, I know I have something similar going on. That's obvious to me. So, without knowing, and I mean, I think that's one of the things that I love about these tools. It's like, it isn't about the cognitive mind. It's about the energy, and it's the energy from the part of us that we don't really understand and we don't always get. That sort of knowing, that's the powerful part that actually drives us, and that's what these access consciousness clearings can get to, not the cognitive part of where we think that we're sticking ourselves.
We've actually had a question on the page from somebody.
Fantastic.
I know, and she asks, Fiona, what does facilitate mean to you?
Okay, yeah, good question. So facilitation for me is empowering people to be who they truly be. So it's not about me or David or Alan as facilitators saying, I see this in you and I think you should do this or something like that. And that's the sort of extreme example of somebody who's, say, well, teaching, or that's the extreme example. And there can be other subtle ways that that can happen. For me, it's much more about me being the invitation to, well, me being me, and being the invitation to the people around me to be more of them. So the people who come to my classes, the people on this hangout, as you become more of you, you won't look like me being me. It will look completely different. But there's something about daring to be that space of me that can empower other people to be the space of them. Do either of you have something to add to that? Alan, you look like me.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed I'm not going to grow blonde hair and look as gorgeous as you.
You may. What else is possible? That would be interesting.
Or lighten my hair and look like David. So, yeah, I think the whole. I mean, I know the question was aimed at you, and I think actually before I answer, I'm going to pop to David. So over to David in our other office.
Yeah, echoing.
I can't even put my words out. What does facilitation mean to you, Mr. David?
What does facilitation mean to me? Echoing Fiona, really. You know, when we dare to be ourselves, you know, we really can choose to be an invitation for other people to step up as them. You know, all of them, beyond any judgments, wrongness that they place on themselves. Just be yourself. Just let your voice shine. And I love that invitation for other people to step up and choose something different.
Actually, I have something to add, and there's something for me. I wouldn't be choosing to be a facilitator if it were about sort of having the answers or something like that. It's like, for me, there's a massive freedom in it just being about me choosing to be more of me, not saying that I've got an answer or something like that. I don't think I would. In fact, to be quite honest, I think that's partially why I hadn't chosen to teach, to use that different word, or to facilitate before I came to Access, because Access Consciousness for me is the space which is the most truly allowing ourselves to be us and giving ourselves the permission to be us. And I think that's why it's been so light for me to choose facilitation and why I'm so enjoying it. Because there's nothing about being right in it or having the answers. It's almost like it's the opposite of that. It's just about
Fiona,
being and experiencing and choosing to be more. Yes.
Fiona, I've heard you say before, when you've seen people from your past and things like that, how, you know, you pitching up different energy, you know, how you've put a question mark in their world. Could you say something about that?
Yes. The thing that first came into my mind is that I love to do that. It's like when I haven't seen people for a while, and at first I may be quite quiet, and then they kind of notice. People will notice when you change. People will notice an energy. And sometimes, of course, when people from the past are there, they'll respond to you, or they'll react to you as though you were that person in the past. And it's something, I mean, I always ask a question. What question can I be to be the me I am now? What can I be and do to not go into their expectations of who I am? And when I'm with people, actually nowadays, I do often just ask questions. What can I do to be me now? If I were truly being me, what would I say, be, and do now? Those kind of questions can just really, really help to not go into creating myself from the past. So at any point in time, we have our past, we have everything we've been up until now, And we can think that the only choice we have is to create based on everything we've created in the past. And actually, that's just not true at all. We always have infinite choices available to us for who we can be, how we can be, in a situation that's going on. And choosing more of those infinite possibilities, choosing to be more of us, that really does put a question mark in people's world. And even if they don't cognitively know there's that question there, you know, I've had people just be a bit sort of surprised around me, a bit puzzled, and then maybe a bit later I'll get an email asking me or something. So that's the energy.
We've had two questions, but before I kind of before I go on to what they are, what's interesting for me about what you've both said about that is this whole thing around, there are some people that I feel more comfortable being that with, and then I feel into patterns with other people. So it's like there are some people I'm willing to be as much of me as I you know, choose to be, that I know will be the greatest contribution, and then you know, I might be around my family or friends I've known for years, and you know, it's not till afterwards I realise that I've fallen into some old pattern of, oh God, why am I making myself so less visible around them?
Yes. So we asked, before we came on this call, we asked to be vulnerable. So I'm now going to be vulnerable. So Alun, you actually invited someone to this Google Hangout, and it put me into a beyond, because I was like, if that person were on the call, I wouldn't, my thought was I wouldn't be able to be me. And I thought, isn't that interesting that as I do this more and more, I'm able to be me around more and more people. That's what I'm finding. And I'm also finding, when I realized that, I just realized, actually, this is just a choice. This is just a choice. It's just a story from the past. So that old story I had of being shy is like, okay, so I can not be shy in front of some people, but other people, I'm still in the shyness story. And it's like, actually, it's a choice. So let's just ask a question around this, because I'm sure this is something that comes up for everybody. So what would it take to be us, no matter who's present, no matter what's going on? Anything that doesn't allow us to show up as fully us. Should we just join on Facebook?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, no, I'm giving that for the And I just want to add to that it's also about having an awareness of what the people around you can receive. So it's not about sort of going mad and indiscriminately saying things to show that we're us. It does also take into account the energy of the other person, the other people around you, just to say that. But a question that I often ask is, what can I be, do, or say that the person with me or the people with me can receive and hear? And so sometimes when I'm doing these classes, it's like, I've asked the question beforehand, and then I can just trust what's coming out of my mouth. It's like I've already asked for it to be what the people around me can hear, and so I can just trust it and allow it to flow.
Absolutely, and I think sorry, I'm trying to multitask.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you're doing that. Thank you.
And I'm doing it so well.
You are doing it very well, yeah.
So I think, you know, it's like, it's related to the question that somebody's asked on Facebook, and it is like, before we went online, you, David, and I sat there and said, okay, let's drop all our barriers, and just be completely vulnerable. And part of all of it that we're talking about from that is, you know, one of the things I love about Access, which is empowering people to know what they know. And so it is. So someone's actually asked, I wonder what lowering the barriers between us, the facilitator and audience, can create. What if we could be as playmates? And my answer to that is absolutely. You know, I love to play, and for many years I was told off for being too jokey, and not being serious enough, and people, you're not professional, it's not professional to muck about. Yeah, you know, and so of course, because that's my natural preference, I would either contract and limit everything that I know would be a great contribution, or I just wouldn't be seen, or I would kind of bottle it up and then just make some really, really bad joke. You know that threw everyone into a beyond and got me fired. You know, it's like, oh, God.
And how does it get any better than that?
Yeah. So then, for this person's also asking, do I like telling jokes and funny stories, and can I tell us some of my favourites? In short, no, because I can talk about things that happen to me, and I can kind of I can laugh about it. Telling jokes really does not. I don't do it well because I kind of get halfway through a joke and I tell you the punchline before I finished it. So I do like to laugh. I do like to have fun. So yes, that's that. So and let me just chuck another question in so we can play with all of these as they arrive.
Yeah.
It says, "Hello, you potent beings, just on the broadcast, blah, blah, blah. Can being the voice you truly be generate and create lots of cash, wealth, and abundance with ease and joy and glory?" So.
Okay, if that person were here with me now, well, I guess they can respond via Facebook. So my question is, what do you know?
Yeah.
And we're all laughing, so.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you know already?
Yeah, so what do you know? And so, now having asked that, now I'm going to answer it. So I'm not going to answer it. So what I find with everything I do in Access, and particularly the voice work, it's like everything is connected. And I'm finding that the voice work for me is what dynamically changes everything in my life. And it has absolutely changed my money flows, my abundance, my willingness to receive. And it's a journey, it's a process. I'm asking for way more. And I do really get that as we dare to be us, as we dare to express ourselves more, and even for me, as I dare to say that, I came from I was a Buddhist for years, and then I was an energy healer, and there can be so many points of view in the spiritual world about abundance, about money, and even for me to sit here and say, I'm asking for more money, even to say that would have been sort of unethical or not right or something. There would have been some point of view about it. What did he say?
Greedy cow.
Greedy cow, yeah, all of that. So even to sit here and say that, although it might seem like a small thing, and actually it's a completely different energy from how I would have been, who I would have been. And as we become more of us and there's less judgment around things, it's like as we have less judgment, so the receiving can really grow and increase.
Mm. I would totally agree with that in terms of the whole money thing. It's like money follows joy, not the other way around. And so when you're being the joy of you, when you're being irresistibly you, money comes from that.
Mm.
And that's something I've noticed since kind of being involved in Access and using the Access tools is I have far less stress about money. I have a whole heap more fun, and my money flows have changed, and they continue to change. And there are there's loads of tools you can use to change your money flows. But for me, of course, the more I'm being me, the more I'm contributing more of who I be to the world, and the more I acknowledge actually what a gift just being me is to the world, that is being received by the world. And so when you do that and you are willing to receive that you are a gift, then that can really change your money flows, I find.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
But let's just ask a question. What would it take to be having so much fun, so much joy, that we forget to worry about money? There's no space to worry about money. Anything that doesn't allow that with total ease, should we destroy and uncreate it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nature, and none. And it's like in those moments where we're really being us, where we're really enjoying ourselves, when we're in that joy and that yumminess of us. So it's like the money or our bank balance is completely irrelevant in that moment when we're just truly, truly, truly being us. And the universe just sees that when we're truly, truly, truly being us and responds to that and gives us more.
Absolutely. And I think just we're talking about kind of being us and being that vibration of who we truly are. And the person was asking the money question is saying,
Yeah.
so exploring the possibilities of what else is possible, what would it take for me to fully be it and be aware of all the possibilities for me? And before I chuck that at you, the thing that jumps out at me there is, what if possibilities are always, the number of possibilities are always expanding, and how often do we wait to know what all the possibilities are before we choose? You know, so it's like I cannot choose a possibility to until I know what they all are, and of course every choice we make creates even more possibilities, so we're never going to get there, so then we kind of never really choose what we really want to choose. So what if we can never know what all the possibilities are until we start choosing something different, and then different possibilities come to us and we follow the energy of what feels more fun?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I've forgotten
back to the studio.
I have things to add to what you said anyway. If whoever wrote that has more that they want, just write in again. So so we're talking about energy and the energy of possibility, and we're also in an action-based universe. So it's like, in order to receive some money, we need to ask for some money. We may need to take some other actions in order to get that money, or in order to have more possibilities. So it's like, as you say, as we're in that space of, oh, at the moment I perceive maybe more possibilities than I used to, but still, actually, compared to what I know is possible, the possibilities still feel fairly limited. So I make a choice. I choose something. And that choice gives me awareness. I have more awareness of, oh, this was fun, this wasn't fun. So I then am able to choose again, and choose again, and choose again. And as we build that muscle of choosing, so the possibilities come in more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And we're not told that we can choose. We were talking about, we were on a money call last night, and I was talking about this. My parents my dad actually said to me, oh, this is good, I've worked hard. He didn't say this, but this is the sense of it. It's almost like, I've worked hard all my life, I didn't actually enjoy it. We've accumulated lots of money, so you don't need to worry about your mum, because we've got money to pay for her to be in the old people's home for the rest of her life. And it's like, well, where's the joy in that? Where's the choice in that? And it's like, that's the sort of survival, no choice energy. And what would it take for us to have something way different? And the way to that is, of course, to ask for it. So we can ask for more possibilities to show up, just by the simple questions: what else is possible here? What else is possible here that I haven't considered yet? What are the infinite possibilities available to me here? And then taking action, just choosing again, choosing again. And that will begin, that can really, really accumulate into a space where you do know that you have more possibilities than just that survival life. And I love my dad, I love my mum, it's not about that.
Yeah, I was going to just add to that as I was cutting you off at the end there, because, you know, it's back to me. Because I like being the obnoxious twat who's in control. Something that, you know I used to that I used to kind of really struggle with was this whole thing around, I need to know what the menu of choices is. And so, and in order to know what's on the menu, it's like I would keep looking back at my past to see what was possible from what I'd already concluded in the past was on the menu. Okay, well, there's all these things that I've concluded are. So it's looking at what's happened rather than just getting rid of all of that and saying, if none of that existed, if none of my past, none of my anything, I've never experienced anything in my life before, what would I choose?
Yeah.
And that's just like, that can either chuck you into a beyond of, I have no idea, or for me, which is more where I'm at now, is, God, anything is possible. I could choose anything.
Yeah. And just to say, if you're listening to this and you feel that you're more in the beyond energy, then just continuing to ask the questions, what else is possible? What else is possible? And being kind to yourself as well, because we're not at all taught in this reality how to choose. We're not taught that there's a choice. And so when we find out about, oh, there is way more choice, there's way more possibilities, and my senses were only scratching the surface of what's possible. There's way more, and so that can be really, really exciting, and it can also be, like Alun was saying, that beyond energy is, I have no clue what I'd like to choose. I have no clue. And so you can just ask, if you're going into that beyond energy, what would it take for me to be kind to myself here? Because there's nothing wrong with not knowing. It's like not knowing what we want to choose. There's nothing wrong with that. And asking the questions will get you to the space where you do have more idea of what's true for you.
And I love that. It's like not making ourselves wrong for not knowing. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the bit that comes in for that for me is, in order to know what I would like to choose, I have to know all the things I don't want to choose. So I have to explore all the things I don't want to choose before. So, no. What's that about?
Yeah.
Because I'm the only one who's ever done that.
Yes, absolutely.
So
yeah, and just having that awareness, you can choose different. Or not. Sometimes we can have the awareness and not choose something better or different. And again, it's just about being in that space of, okay, that's fine, that's fine. So I didn't make the best choice then. Okay, that's fine. I'm still here. Okay, that's fine. And coming back to Right Voice for You, there's something about that, actually, I'm okay, that's fine, energy that's even more dynamic when we're in a class and in front of other people. It's like part of what Right Voice for You can be about is maybe choosing to be on the stage and just being in that space of, oh, whatever happens here, I'm fine, I'm still me, I may mess up. And it's like, I think that's part of the power of it, that being in front of other people in that energy, we can then have that energy in our lives. It's like, I'm okay, I may mess up, but I'm still okay, that kind of energy. And that's one of the gifts for me from Access in general, but a lot from Right Voice for You, because there is something about that vulnerability in front of other people. Whether we choose to be on the stage or not, just being in the space where other people are choosing it, where the energy is just greater and the change, in my experience, can be more dynamic. I don't know if any of you have anything to say about that, having experienced being in that energy.
David, do you want to say anything about your experience?
Absolutely. In terms of Fiona's class in London, I found it to be such a nurturing space for people to choose something else, and such a nurturing space for people to be received, barriers down, vulnerable, And also, I remember Fiona saying something like, "What if nothing could go wrong on stage? What if there isn't any good or bad? What if it's you choosing what you're choosing, and that's fabulous, and that's okay?" And in terms of the whole dynamic of a group, I found it, again, nurturing, yummy to be in that. I want to kind of say, safe, kind, gorgeous place to sing, speak, and be. Yeah.
And be you.
And be you, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
That you just said, David. Just knowing that we're not wrong, whatever we choose, we're not wrong. So let's just do that. So what if we've never been wrong? So all the energy that comes up for everybody around all the times we've been made wrong, all the times we've told ourselves we're wrong. We're wrong with our voice, we're wrong with our bodies, we're wrong with everything. Should we just let go of that and know it's not true? Just join our creativity. Thank you. Right now,
absolutely, yeah.
This whole thing around not living through other people's choices or limitations, and choosing to be you and be comfortable with you and be vulnerable with you and knowing that there's nothing wrong. I remember when I first started doing work, and when you would do training at work, and you would see yourself on video or hear yourself on a voice recording. And everyone's like, oh, everyone hates their voice when they're on recording, and everyone hates the way they look. And there's this kind of almost like collective belief that everyone who hears their voice or sees themselves on on a camera or something really hates it. And so for years I believed that was true.
Yeah.
Until my gorgeous co-host Laura Borland and I, on our radio show, we started this radio show, and I love the sound of my, in case anybody hasn't noticed, I love the sound of my own voice. And but I love the sound of my voice on the radio. I've got a face for radio, and that's okay. And we are willing to muck it up and forget what we're saying and kind of go off at tangents and stuff. And we have an absolute riot. And I really don't hate the way I look on camera. I really don't hate the way my voice sounds. And that was just from realizing that the belief that people do, that everyone does, for me, is a big lie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's all thanks to some fantastic facilitation from people in Access, but also the Access tools of who does that belong to?
Yeah.
It's been such a gift to me, such a gift.
And actually, thank you, because that's something that would be really good to just say to people. There is so much fear in this reality around public speaking, around being seen, around being heard. And there's that statistic that people always talk about: people would rather die than give a talk, or something like that. And so there's this unimaginable amount of fear around being seen and being heard. And a lot of the public speaking training that's out there is about pretending to be something that you're not, actually. That's what a lot of it's about. And so it's just to say to people that if you do feel that you have that fear around being on stage, around public speaking, just ask yourself, is this even mine? Because there's so much fear out there, so much stuff out there.
So yeah, it's like I was listening to a recording by Lenise Hughes, and she did this thing around how big are you willing to have your class sizes be. And what was really interesting for me was the larger the class size, the more comfortable and amazing I felt. The more contracted with smaller, not contracted, but just less of a contribution I could be. So the idea of being on television to all 5 billion people in the world, for me, would be like, bring it on. That doesn't faze me at all. It's really funny.
Yeah, and I think it's quite common that sometimes when we're creating classes and they're small classes, it's like part of us can't be quite bothered with it, and it's like there's an energy as the class size gets bigger, or as the audience gets bigger, we kind of become more engaged with it, and we're more prepared to do what it takes to be ourselves.
It's like we need that. For me, it's like a massive. It is. It's much more exciting when I know that more people are coming to the class, because it means that it's going to take a lot more organising. There's a lot more things that need to be done, and everything. All of my energy starts coming alive. But when it ends up being, and don't get me wrong, I love my one-to-ones with people, and I get a phenomenal amount of I love doing them, and I love seeing the change, or what people are willing to receive and walk away with. But for me, it's like the more there is to do in order to kind of get something to work, or to kind of to be a contribution, it's like I come alive, and I have to multitask, and I'm just constantly engaged with it, rather than just going, oh well, it's only 3 people.
Yeah. And I'm just going to mention this tool which has been absolutely amazing for me. This you might have heard of OCCC, Obsessive Compulsive Creative Crap. And so I used to have fatigue. I used to have a fatigue illness, and for me, it was always about cutting things out, not doing so much, seeing fewer people. And even though I was really well when I heard about this tool, what can I add to my life to stop being an compulsive creative crap, it brought up a lot of fear in me, because it was so ingrained in me that I needed to do less. I needed to do less to have more energy. And so I just want to bring that to people's attention. sometimes we really, really come alive when there's lots to do, when there are lots of people that we're interacting with. And what actually sort of slowly kills us off is not having enough going on. And so the question we can ask is, what can I add to my life that would be fun? What can I add to my life that would bring me joy?
Absolutely. What can I add to my life that will expand my life?
Yeah, what can I add to my life that would bring me money?
Yeah, and what can I add to my life that will be a massive contribution to me and the world? And how much fun can I have as I do this? And what more can I choose that, you know, just expands my life? Because I had this whole thing around, like you were saying, you have to let go of things in order to have more space. And what was really funny was we went out recently and we bought a new clock. Our house is full of clocks in case you haven't heard it chiming. And so we bought another clock, and then we had to move everything around. And we've actually got more space now. We've got more in the house. Don't ask me how that happens. Our house is obviously like a TARDIS. You know, it's 10-dimensional. So the more we seem to add to our house, the more space we have, and that's making my head spin. It's like, how much more can we add to our life that would actually create more space? It's like when you add stuff that's fun, phenomenal, and rewarding for you, and you get that by asking, will this be fun, phenomenal, and rewarding for me? The more you add that to it, the more space you have even more in your life that's fun, phenomenal, and rewarding. And what an awesome inspiration that can be to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, Fiona.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, so I'm just noticing the time, and I just want to actually ask a couple of really, really just questions that are really related to the voice. So one of my favourite all-time Right Voice for You questions is, what if your voice matters in the world? So all the energy that comes up, and it may be, no, my voice doesn't, or it may be an excitement, or yes, it does, but any energy that comes up, are you willing to let go of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And similar to that, are you willing to know that your voice matters in the world? So anything that doesn't allow you to know that your voice really matters in the world, are you willing to destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, body, what is you being you and stepping into expressing you more and more is the gift that the world needs? And anything that doesn't allow you to step into that with your voice and your being, are you willing to destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, and how much fun, how much joy can you have and create with your voice in the world? Anything that doesn't allow you to perceive that and to step into that, are you willing to destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad,
Awesome. Awesome questions, Ms. Fiona.
So, thank you. Thank you. I'm just thinking that it's like, in some ways, Right Voice for You is like access to the voice, and there are some things that are very specific and a bit different about it too. So I wanted to just give a flavour of that as well.
Awesome. What I also wanted to do before we close is just to ask you to tell everyone who's listening a bit more about what else you've got going on that people could tap into if they wanted to find out more about having their voice in their life and sharing that with the world.
Yeah. So I adore these classes, and I've got several coming up. So I'm creating a class in Middlesbrough with David here, and that's on Saturday the 24th of January. And then 2 days before that, there's a class in Manchester in the evening on the Thursday, and there's a class coming up in Cambridge in April. And you and I were talking about another possibility in London, so that's kind of, I don't know when, I don't know where. And I'm also offering one-to-one sessions for the voice. So if you're giving a talk, if you want to sing more or speak about something more, or if you just want to show up with a bit more sort of oomph in your life, then those one-on-one sessions for either half an hour or an hour can be really powerful for that. I suppose the main thing to say is I love these classes, and there's going to be way more of them. So just look out for them in the future as well, beyond what I've told you about here.
Awesome. And Mr. David, what about you? How do people get in touch with you? And what do you do?
Thank you, Alun. That's a great question. I'm an access consciousness bars and body process facilitator. I work from the wonderful Gateway Neuro Rehabilitation Centre in Middlesbrough. So I run bars and use all the wonderful hands-on access consciousness body processes, creating dynamic, yummy change on all kinds of people. So yeah, my website is www.accessfabulousyou.co.uk, and you can find information there and get in touch there. Thank you, Alun.
Awesome. And David, if somebody wanted a one-to-one session with you that wasn't about body processes or bars, would that be something they could do with you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've started to see people one-to-one with for verbal facilitation for clearings, and this has been a whole new experience. This has been something I've been hiding from a little bit. So using these Right Voice for You tools to step up and step into the beyond with ease, joy, and glory has been wonderful. Yeah, what else is possible? Yeah,
absolutely. Because speaking from experience of being with you, I know actually what a phenomenal facilitator you can be when you ask questions. So
thank you.
Yeah, what would you take from more people to access fabulous them via accessing fabulous you?
Thank you, Alun. Yeah, absolutely. What would it take? More about, please. More about universe.
And what about you, Alun? Let's hear from you.
Yeah.
Like Fiona.
Gorgeous Alun.
The gorgeous Alun. The irresistible me. So basically, I offer one-to-one kind of coaching facilitation sessions either via Skype or face-to-face. I'm also an Access Bars facilitator, so I can teach bars or gift bars treatments as well. I also host a number of amazing facilitators, including the wonderful Fiona Cutts, for fabulous kind of life-changing events. And the one that I would really love to mention is that on the 11th of February in London, I've got Glenise Hughes coming to do 5 days to change your life, and that's the Access core classes of Bars Foundation Level 1. And if you really want to let go of more of that crap and the limiting beliefs and the lies and the points of view that you've bought that have been stopping you from knowing who you are, and sharing that with the world and being more appreciative of who you are, then going to classes like the Access Foundation classes, the core classes, really can change your life. And Fiona offers them where she is as well. I know that she does Bars Foundation Level 1 there. So if you can't make it to London on the 11th, look up Fiona's website, and I'm sure that she's got classes advertised there as well. But yeah, if you want to get in touch with me.
It's funny, Hudson Ridge. It is funny to say here.
And you got sun. We haven't got sun here. We've got
there we are.
Clouds. But so yes, you can access me at alunjones.com, and yeah, we're all here to help you have your voice in your life and in the world, and have fun with it. Really, really, really have fun with it.
And actually, on that fun note, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to you both, David and Alun. I'm having way more fun since you're in my life. Just thank you for just for being there and playing and creating more.
Awesome.
And what else is possible?
It's an absolute pleasure, and it is a lot of fun. And we hope you've enjoyed the whole experience, because we're going to be going offline very shortly. But thank you, everyone, for being who you are, for being vulnerable, for being willing to be here. And again, thank you, David and Fiona, for being such fabulous playmates.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Alun. Thank you, Fiona.
Bye.
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 Bye.